All right, this is test number 2. I tried doing a live video this morning and I couldn't get the upload to work, so we're trying this again. And I've got to do this because, you can see I've set up the Kammok Sunda in my living room basement, and it's got to come down today because we've got a family activity, so I got to quickly videotape this while I've got a chance. So yesterday I did a live stream unpacking the Sunda. This is the 2.0. This is the upgrade from their last version. So a lot of subtle revisions and updates. I never got to test the version 1. So this is my first foray into this particular tent hammock, but it's pretty cool so far. So I want to show you a couple of things that stood out to me. And just to let you know as well, I tried setting this up as a hammock and I couldn't figure it out at first because, and honestly, I did not look at the instructions. So shame on me, but now that I've kind of had a chance to play with it, it is pretty easy. So let's take a quick look at a couple of things that stood out. Again, this was me just jumping into this Sunda without looking at any instructions and how I figured it out. So in tent mode, this is a freestanding tent. Does not need to have any guy outs to set it up, although you will find, as you can see here, the vestibule does require a tie out, which is fairly common, right? It creates a lot of open space on both sides. Nice big vestibule, and creates a big living space inside. Because the base is a hammock, or at least designed to be a hammock, the floor space is fairly large, at least lengthwise. Let me jump in just to kind of show you. And I think my son is still sleeping. We had a little camp out together. There he is, still sleeping. And I was up here. Now we did this. We were kind of head to toe. And the reason we did that is because the width, hey, get a little cat, is, so it's marketed as a 2-person tent. And honestly, like most 2-person tents, it's tight on the width. But we found that it worked out great if you were head to toe like we were here. And there is actually plenty of space. You can see that this pad, very wide at the torso, narrows at the foot, but there's still plenty of, a couple of feet actually, of empty space. You could fit another person, a small child or a dog, a pet. The vestibule also has plenty of space if you want to put gear, a pet, or a small child. Now, a couple of things on the construction here that's pretty cool. I noticed it has the reflective liner on the inside, so you can get a little more brighter when you're inside the tent, a little more heat reflection, which is pretty cool. Very nice stow cables here to keep that tied without having to tie knots. It's just a little toggle system with a cord lock, so that works really well for all the pieces. Lots of air ventilation. You can see on the ends there is a pass-through hole that's both, you can create a little window and ventilation. So we were inside, which, sometimes inside you can feel a little stuffy, but had no issues at all last night with everything buttoned down except having the vestibules open there. Let me show you this. Bathtub floor. Although you can see it doesn't really hold up very tight on the sides. It does when it's zippered, and maybe that's common. Now, I was expecting that this rain fly was separate from the tent, and maybe that was true in the first version. Again, I don't have experience with that, but in this version, that's one thing I think that tripped me up when I first opened up this hammock tent, is that the tarp is connected. You can see right here, they're sewn together. So this is actually a single wall tent here at the top. Then it opens up to a double wall when you get to the bug screen. There's an elastic here that connects this, provides some rigidity but also flexibility. On the corners, there's just a little clip that you can use. This is what you detach when you're going to convert it to hammock mode. Oh, I can't do that with one hand. Quick, simple release buckle. But because this is all connected, it does make setup really easy. And I will say, let me step back. One of the downsides that I've often talked about with tents is that, if it's raining outside and you've got to set up your tent, one of the problems is you're gonna, especially if it's a double wall, like you have a tent that has a bug screen and then it's got a tarp that goes over the top. You typically don't have a lot of options with a lot of tents. You're gonna have to set up the bug net in the rain. It's gonna get soaked out, and then you got to put the tarp on top of it. So one advantage of these types of tents, and the Sunda is one of those, you can see that the poles go right into sorry, I cannot think this early in the morning. The poles go into the tent portion itself, the fly. So it sets up, you can set it up in the rain and still be totally dry on the inside, which is a really nice feature. You know, just make sure that you set it up with or when you put it down, you know, close off all the vestibules so you're not going to wet anything out. So that's pretty cool. I didn't realize this at first when I was setting it up, but it's really nice that all of the tent poles are color coordinated. So you can see on the top, the ridge pole, red. It's also marked here on the sleeve with a red tab, so you know that you've got the red here. It has a really nice, see if we can focus in on that, kind of a ball joint clip that makes that really easy to connect to. The silver poles have a matching silver tag on the sleeve, so it makes that easy to identify, and a nice aluminum capture here that makes setup really easy. Let's see, what other feature that I thought was pretty cool when I set this up? Oh yeah, so the hammock suspension has this tie out here that keeps it from, you know, getting in the mud or getting on the ground, which is pretty cool. Now, I haven't yet set this up in hammock mode, but what I've seen in the video is I'm just going to take the two ends and pull them together and clip them with the carabiner. Again, I'm going to practice that later after I've had a chance to play with this. But see if there's anything else that highlighted that I wanted to show you. Freestanding to the bathtub floor, bug net, attached tarp. Setup was really fast and easy, honestly, not a big problem. The poles worked well. I really am digging the stuff sack, the way they've got it set up. Plenty of room, you can stuff it, fold it, roll it. But the fact that everything's attached makes it really nice and easy. Now, I will say, most of these hybrid type models, there's going to be compromises because you're either a fantastic tent, maybe a fantastic hammock. Can it be both? I don't know yet. I'm still practicing. The tent mode is awesome. It's a great tent, very roomy, very big, freestanding, sets up really easy. You've got additional tie outs if you want additional, hey, Jared's awake, support for you know, storm worthiness. One thing that I think is challenging with these types of tents, as I mentioned, because you've got a single wall, there may be condensation issues. I don't know, so that I'll have to test. The other thing that's interesting is with the bathtub floor, you know, there's going to be most likely, as I'm feeling it here, either a DWR treatment or a silicone treatment of some kind to keep it waterproof. Where that can be a challenge, in my experience in the past with hybrid hammocks, is you know, feeling a little bit damp or moist as you sleep in a hammock mode. Not so much of a problem in tent mode, so we'll have to test that out. The really nice thing, though, that I really appreciate is that the Sunda does come with a footprint that can go under the entire setup, which is fantastic, because one of my pet peeves with hybrid type models is that you run the risk of putting holes in your hammock, which you don't want to do. That will create problems with ripping or abrasion. So it's nice that there is an included footprint to protect the hammock body. All right, anyway, I'm blabbering now. I'm going to stop this video and get it uploaded. This again is the inside test for the Sunda. Pretty cool so far. Now we're going to test the air mode. This is Derek with the Ultimate Hank signing off.